Hello everybody. Okay, so to many people, they think credit cards are a scam, and they aren't wrong. And before I explain, I need you to smash that like button, click subscribe, and hit that bell notification. And remember to watch the video from beginning to end, that way you can fully understand everything. I remember from the youngest age, my mother said, don't use your credit card. However, I wanted to purchase products online, and credit cards were like literally the only way to purchase products online at the time. And I would shop a lot on a website called Deal Extreme. And funny enough, I never actually had an issue with it. And so I'm like wondering, why does my mom think credit cards are a scam? Please let me know. And so I will explain why people think it's a scam. All right, many banks, I won't name which one specifically. However, there is a Netflix documentary to the left of me called Dirty Money, which explains which banks were doing the naughty things. I want to state that the banks or the credit cards are innocent. A bank is a bank. A credit card's a credit card. A mug is a mug, right? A mug can't hurt anybody. A credit card can't hurt anybody. A bank can't hurt anyone. However, the one operating the bank can definitely hurt someone or definitely hurt the economy, likewise with credit cards. And so you can say that it's human intent rather than something wrong with the banks or the credit cards. So what were they doing? What were these bankers or owners of banks doing? Basically, employees of said banks were forced to sign up as many clients as possible to their services. Whether this means checking accounts, savings accounts, credit cards, CDs, business lines of credit, business credit cards, business loans, anything. The more accounts the clients opened and the more accounts the employees opened, the better it was for them. If the employees couldn't open as many accounts as they could or as required by the supervisors, who were also told by head managers on what they should get, then most likely employees got fired. And so there was this huge struggle for employees just to do as well as they can. And basically it ended up becoming like an MLM scheme in a way that individual A needs to sell a product to individual B, and then individual B needs to sell a product to individual C. However, instead of it being like that, they just advertised their banking services to friends and families simply because they couldn't find enough clients to open up accounts. So employees are forced to open up as many accounts as possible, which means what? It means that they're not focused on the client too much, but on themselves because they're going to get fired. And so products and services are not being explained to potential clients and to clients that sign up. So all of a sudden you have an influx of users opening up checking accounts, savings account, credit cards, CDs, car financing loans, and not understanding anything. Not understanding the terminology, not understanding the terms and conditions, not understanding what grace periods are, not understanding how credit cards work at all. Not only that, a lot of times employees were targeting non-English speaking Americans because the supervisors and head managers knew that these individuals are easily exploitable. They knew that when they signed up, they didn't know who to complain to, who to dispute the situation to, what they can do to resolve the problem. And so the supervisors and head managers and obviously the CEOs understood that they can easily take advantage of these people because they know they're not going to do anything. And the crazy thing is, Anglo-American capitalism is very hard to understand. The average American living in America right now has no clue on how the financial system works, how securities works, how bonds work, how futures work, how stocks work, how shorting works, puts, call options, credit cards, loans, bailouts, no clue. They have no clue at all. Not only that, people who work as bank tellers, in all genuineness, don't really know much either. Average bank teller withdraws, deposits cash, explains services that are kind of already explained in a pamphlet, but they can't really go above and beyond the pamphlet. And I'm no way dismissing bank tellers' job or those who work at the head front of a branch. I'm just stating that even those who work at banks may or may not actually know how the financial system works. So in a way, you have people who don't understand how the financial system works selling services of the financial service to then people who either don't speak English or don't have a clue on also how the financial system works, signing up for these accounts, which is just a recipe for a bad disaster waiting to happen, right? Bank teller doesn't know anything. Bank teller sells a service to a client who is not explained thoroughly on what they're signing up for. They agree. They also don't really know anything. And so what's going to really happen after all this, right? Not good things, that's for sure. Like financial lingo is hard to understand. If someone says APR interest rates, they're like, what are you talking about? APY interest rates, what are you talking about? Grace periods, what do you mean? Futures, what's that all about, right? Like, I know people don't know these terms, so I can't blame anyone for this. However, if you are selling a service to a client and it's vital to their success, I think it's really, really important that they do know what that information is. And so that's not even the worst. Fine, we're selling products hardcore, nothing's really being explained, but then you got employees, supervisors, head managers starting to open up accounts under people's names without their permission, literally forging signatures, opening up checking accounts, savings account, credit cards without their permission. And all of a sudden, clients are getting letters in the mail of credit cards that they never signed up for, going on like, what the heck is happening? I didn't even apply for this. And funny enough, the employees, the bankers, the CEOs were smart about this. They made sure to target those who were inactive or had a foreign name. They made the assumption that if they had inactive accounts, they're not really going to check anything. They're not really going to check their letters. They're never really going to know that we opened up 4 checking accounts, 2 credit cards, a CD. Likewise, with those with foreign names, they also assume the same. They're like, what are they going to know? They can't even speak English, read English. How are they even going to know what this letter means? And boy, were they wrong. Eventually, people obviously figured out that something suspicious and fishy is happening. And I just want to note that none of this is profitable long-term at all, and this hurts everybody. And you're probably asking me, Mike, what's the point of all this? Well, a lot of banks are public. What do I mean? It means that they are on the stock exchange, whether the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ or whatever. And so when they create a PR, a public release or news release, and they state that our clients opened up 1 million credit cards, 500,000 checking accounts within 1 week, investors see this and they're like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. We got to start investing into this bank. Within 2 years, this is going to be the top bank in the world just on these stats. However, these stats are false, obviously. They didn't open this many accounts in X amount of days. They lied. They created fake accounts. They forged signatures. They forced people to open up as many accounts as possible. And so none of it was really legitimate. And so what does that mean? That means their 25 cents a share stock blows up to $80 a share after that news release. And then 6 months later, that stock drops to 5 cents a share. So you go from 25 cents to $80 to now 5 cents. Basically, the company's worthless. Now, what happened between all that time? So let's just say 0 to 6 months, it went to $80. 3 months after that, the CEOs, the head managers, and some of the lucky people sold all their shares, or at least a portion. Even if they sold 30% of their shares, they still made huge bank. Going from a quarter of a share to $80 is 32,000% profit, okay? That's 320 times more. So even if they sell 30% of shares, they still made so much money. However, what happens 3 months after that, after they sold their shares, there's another news release. There's a short report stating that this bank was falsifying the checking and savings and credit cards. They were forcing customers to open up accounts. Employees are forced by their supervisors to make clients to open as much as accounts as possible. And so the short report gets released and everyone starts to read this and everything starts to make sense, and boom. And the bank stock is utterly worthless at this point. This is why they did it. They did a huge pump and dump so that they can create an awesome PR and to create as much money as possible and then cash out before the real news hits mainstream media. And that is why they did it. So the top head CEOs and like a lucky 100 people, you know, someone on Wall Street Bets probably saw this and they're like, oh my God, X bank went up already 200 times. It's gonna keep going up. And people follow this thread, and those that invested, I'm telling you, only probably 5% made money, and the remaining 95% probably lost everything. And so this hurts everybody except the top head CEOs and those who manage to get lucky. The employees get fired or lose their jobs because the bank is borderline bankrupt and it can't afford all these employees, or they blame the employees and fire them and state that it's their fault because CEOs love to claim that they were not aware of the situation. 2, the clients are waiting on FDIC to ensure those payments, so anyone that needs money right now may not have access to that money until a week or 2 weeks later, until the whole bankruptcy issue is resolved. And then 3, those who signed up for credit cards or loans or financing and didn't really understand what they're signing up for most likely got those loans and credit cards defaulted, which then means more collateral damage in a sense that their credit report is destroyed and their credit score is destroyed. And that even means more damage because it's going to be way harder to get housing and way harder to get employment. Again, something I mentioned in a previous video that I don't agree with this. that housing in the 21st century in a first world country should be accessible and affordable to everybody, that housing should be a human right. But unfortunately, this is not the case, and this is why your credit score and credit report is so important, because just to rent or lease a home, your credit score needs to be good. And again, I don't really agree with this in the sense of how much power our credit report and credit score has, but unfortunately, it's the case. And not only that, it destroys the economy. It destroys the lives of hardworking individuals, and it just makes people who are already rich richer, and there's really no consequences. Many of these CEOs are in their 50s to their 80s, and the only thing that happens is they're banned from the financial sector for life. They're already in their 50s and 80s. They already made a ton of money. Why aren't they being fined a lot? Why isn't their winnings being taxed at even a higher rate? If you don't know, capital gains tax is basically taxed at a very low rate. 50% of it is not taxed at all. So let's just say the CEO made $500 million. $250 million they keep tax-free. The remaining $250 million, let's just say it's taxed at 50%. They get to keep $125 million, and the remaining $125 million then the IRS gets. So in general, they made $375 million, if not more, and then only had to pay basically 25% tax. And it's a scam. Like, this whole thing is bonkers, and it's real. It has happened multiple times in US history. So this is real, and so this is why credit cards are deemed as a scam, because many people who sign up for credit cards are not being educated on how credit cards work. They're simply signing a paper because employees are forcing them to sign up as quickly as possible, so nothing's really being explained, and they're not really reading what's going on. Not only that, English may not be their first language, and so they also may be exploited through that way, and then you're left with this mess of the after effect of having a credit card when you don't know what it is. A lot of people just make assumptions that it's okay to pay the minimum. It's okay to be late on paying it. It's okay not to pay it at all and let it go to collections, and then let collections annoy the living beep out of you, which is all not true at all. You really need to be paying off your credit card in full. You don't really want to let the interest build and do minimum payments, and you really don't want your credit to get into collections. Your credit's really important. It allows you to build your wealth, stabilize your wealth, and it also allows you to have access to other tools and access to services such as housing and real estate. And by tools, I mean anything from credit cards, credit, financing, lines of credit, business credit, mortgages, margin accounts, options trading, etc. There's so much you can do with your credit that a lot of people don't know, and I wouldn't destroy it or damage it for not knowing what it is. So if you don't know what a credit card is and you sign up for a credit card, I really recommend reading as much as you can and understanding as much as you can, and calling the credit card customer representative to make sure that they explain everything to you fully and thoroughly. That way you can understand it and take advantage of it. So let me know in the comment section down below if you think credit cards are a scam. If or if not, let me know why, and I would love to hear your opinion. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification. As always, have a good one and stay strong. This is Mike Gap signing out.